Are you ready to organize your amazing ideas into a powerful book? You are in the right place at the right time to learn how to write your book. Hi, I'm Joyce Class, and welcome to the Write Hour, nonfiction tips from the Write Coach team. We are so glad you joined us today. Hello, everybody. It's Joyce Glass, the Write Coach, and I'm here with Don Derosier, I believe is how you say it, right, Don?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to have Don here today because he's talking about an important subject that most writers don't put a whole lot of attention to, I'm sure. And so we need to make sure that we do pay attention to this. So we're going to be talking about copywriting. But I want to introduce to you Don a little bit real quick first. He has co-founded a national creative agency called Leaders, right? Leaders.co.
Yes, ma'am.
And they empower brands. That's what he loves to do. And he has a podcast as well called The Show Podcast. And you can find that on Spotify. And he loves to help with marketing, entrepreneurship, and technology tips on his podcast. He also loves to listen to people as they rant and rave on his podcast. So it's a lot of fun. And he's also a co-editor of the startup digital magazine called Default. And it's about self-care during the pandemic life. And we all need that right now, don't we?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
So, well, it's great to have you here, Don.
Thank you for having me, Joyce. I really appreciate you taking the time and energy to interview me today.
Wonderful. Well, first, tell us a little bit about you and your journey to where you became this creative director of this Leaders.co, and help us understand, where has Don come from? What's you been up to?
Yeah, so I've been in entrepreneur life. Well, how far back do you want me to go? High school, college?
As far as you go back, it doesn't matter.
Well,
Whatever you want to share.
Well, I grew up in Florida, and my dad is an entrepreneur, still is, I firmly believe. And so he ran his own financial planning business. And so from growing up and seeing him fail and rise multiple times as an entrepreneur, I really admire him. I still admire him today. And that was one of the things I wanted to do when I grew up, was to be an entrepreneur. And so one of my first loves after college was photography, or during college, I should say, was photography / writing. And I thought, well, wouldn't it be cool to blend both those together? And believe it or not, there is a profession out there called photojournalism, or even journalism, right? Mm-hmm. And so I was like, well, those guys, they're adventurers, they're just not English majors. They're actually go out and they get the story and they talk to people. And I thought that was a really cool thing to do. And so I decided to major in journalism. And so I was looking at different journalism programs in Florida, and I wasn't really finding any that were very interesting. And at the time, my dad decided to get back into the military, and my whole family was transferred up to Fairbanks, Alaska. And so I noticed, And so from Florida to Alaska, very, very different.
Shock, can you say?
very different climate, people, culture, everything. And I was looking at the college up there that he was based. He was based up in Fort Wainwright in Fairbanks. And I was like, oh, University of Alaska, Fairbanks. That is an interesting college. And I noticed they have a really good journalism program up there. So I decided to transfer colleges and finish my degree of Bachelor's of Arts in journalism with a concentration in photojournalism. So, yeah.
Awesome. That sounds like a lot of fun. And I love photography too, but I'm not on the professional level at all. It's just more of a, pretty picture.
Yeah, there's my iPhone, right? I got my phone, guys.
Exactly. So you can get some good shots every now and then.
Yeah.
Well, what we're going to talk about today is copywriting. And for those that don't know, what's the difference between copywriting and just writing a book? What's the difference? Because some people are like, well, it's just writing, right?
No, it's selling. You're selling either a service or product. Basically, that's what it comes down to in copywriting or advertising writing, or any type of writing that you're selling basically a product or service.
Right. I've got a dog over here putting her nose in the trash. So you see me keep looking, and that's what. Ow. So it's kind of like having a 2-year-old.
Nice.
No telling what she'll do. So yeah, so you're helping people understand your product or service.
Yes, ma'am.
And get to know you in the process as well, right?
Yeah, well, it depends who you're working with or for. Usually copywriters are partnered or they're taken on board with some type of advertising agency. And so I was lucky enough to intern with an advertising agency based in Texas last year. And that's how I learned how to copyright, was through this agency.
Awesome. So how can it help, if a writer learning to copyright, how can it help them attract their ideal readers? What are some things that they can do? Because even if we're on Facebook, you're copywriting people, just so you know.
Oh yeah, all the time.
Your posts on Facebook are copywriting because you're trying to attract your ideal readers. And that's why you want to make sure that you're saying things in a way that's going to engage and bring them to you. So how can they attract their ideal readers? Do you have some tips that you could give them?
Yeah, emojis are huge on Facebook. I would definitely use emojis with your writing. That'll catch someone's attention.
Instagram and even Twitter.
Oh yeah, any type of social media platform, if you pair that with an emoji, oh man, that's going to get way more likes, way more comments. And so that's definitely my number one tip. My second tip is to break apart your sentences, your paragraphs into simple, easy to read statements, usually using the active verb, not the passive verb. And those active tenses using easy to understand words. So we don't want to flourish or, like make our words seem bigger than they actually are. We want them to be easy and easily understood. And so as a copywriter, our jobs is to be vigilant in finding the right words, but also words that will get people's attention.
Yes.
And one of the number one tips I actually got from one of my favorite copywriters, he actually taught me a lot, and he's a freelance copywriter, and he gets paid the big bucks. But he told me, number one thing, nobody likes to learn, Don. So don't ever use learn in your copywriting. I was like, wait, what? I see learn everywhere. And I was like, what are you supposed to use? And it's like, dude, just like use discover or adventure or, something a little more exotic. And I was like, whoa, life.
That is good to know. Didn't know that.
Life changing. So you're going to catch it now on different websites that you go to. You'll see that learn more. You'll be like, I should change that into something a little more exciting, So it's all about excitement. It's all about trying to capture an audience through words. And as you know, people don't like to read these days. So it's really hard to capture them by words.
Yeah. And I love what you said about the paragraphs, because nothing drives me crazier than a post this long and there's no break.
Yeah, you got it.
And you're going, you got to really love them to read that.
Yeah.
Because who wants to read a big old blob? And I mean, and even blogging, I learned that blogging, if you are a blogger, do the same thing. 2 to 3 sentences per paragraph, max 5.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Because you don't want these big old globs of paragraph. You want it skimmable. We are a nation and a culture of skimmers. So you want to be able to skim it, and you want to be able to look at it. And who most people don't sit around and read every little jot and tittle unless it's something they're super interested in. And what?
I was going to say, unless they find you on Google, or if Google is trying to find you. And so that kind of comes back to my next point of SEO. And so usually copywriters are also SEO experts. And so usually if you go to Moz is kind of the leading SEO company out there, and they've got like tips and tricks like SEO 101. Like they have a whole like article section where you can learn about SEO for free, and that's search engine optimization. So those are for people who want to rank their website high in Google and they want to gain more visibility in the online world. They have to learn SEO or hire, let's say, maybe a freelance copywriter who's understood SEO and the basis of how to get your website on page 1 of Google, right? Because that's what everybody wants these days.
Right. Well, and I have to say, SEO drives me crazy. I I know enough to be dangerous, and that's why I did hire someone to help me. When I first put my site up, to do some SEO things on it, and it does help a lot. And she showed me some basic things that help. I'm sure I don't do it 100% right. Probably not even 90% right, but I try. Okay, I try.
I can give you more tips about that if you want.
That would be awesome. But I'll tell you this real quick. Okay. But obviously it works some, because what I've done, because my site's probably 4 or 5 years old.
Oh, that's good. That's a good thing.
So there's a lot of content on there, and I put stuff on all the images when I do it. I put keywords there, and but I did have somebody, I think it was last year, that she found me by Googling writing coach near her, and I showed up, and she was actually in South Carolina or North Carolina, but not too far from where I'm at. And I was like, well, that's good to know it was working. So, so that was very helpful. But yes, if you have more, so for those that don't understand, SEO is what drives the algorithms for the little search engines to find you, or find your website, or to find out more about you. And if you're using these, I call them magical words, then they will bring people to you. That's what you want. You want people to come to you. And it's one of those things, you can get in a rabbit hole and learn a lot about it. I say learn enough to do it well. And then if it's something that interests you, yes, keep going with it. But the other option is to hire someone like Don to help you with that, and give you, even if you only hire him every couple months, and it's like, let's do a refresh here. Where are we at? And what do I need to do to make it better? That's better than nothing, because you need that help. And here's the thing. If you're a writer, you are not going to know everything about everything. That's why you do have to hire people. You're not going to be your editor. I hope not. I hope we've talked about that a lot, is you need to hire an editor. Hiring a copywriter, even if it's every now and then, to just kind of help you with what your website, help you, because what you say on your website is huge, and that's important. And get somebody like Don to help you get those keywords in there so people can find you. But you got to find out what your keywords are too. So give us some SEO tips real quick.
Well, it depends on your business. It really depends on what you do, what type of service you have. Let's say you have a plumbing service, right? Well, you're going to search for keywords about plumbing. You're going to what are people typing in for a plumber, right? Like how to fix my sink, and write a blog or an article about that and put that on your plumbing website. And then that'll hopefully drive more traffic over to you. Another really great tip that a lot of people don't take advantage of are backlinks. And so what backlinks are is you're hyperlinking a website that has reputation, right? That is credible to your website. And hopefully, down the road, they'll reciprocate. And once they reciprocate, then you've created a backlink. You've created this authority with your website. And let's say with, Wikipedia or, yahoo.com or something, if you get a Yahoo article, that'll really bring your ranking up to your own website, because obviously they've got more authority and relevance, and they've been around a lot longer, and so it's really important to partner yourself with other publications that are doing great work, like Huffington Post or the Atlanta, or it's all these different publications do help you a lot. If you as a writer want to contribute to the other, let's say, writing industries. There's a lot of work out there, definitely, when it comes to having your own writing blog or being your own freelance writer, because you can do a lot of different roles. Like I said, from being your own author or you writing your own memoirs to doing, copywriting on the side as a side hustle, or, doing another different side hustle, like maybe writing grants. Like I've also heard a lot of writers get paid really good money to write grants.
Yeah, actually, one of my clients in the Write My Book boot camp, She does that. She writes grants.
Yeah.
And then
That's
I
good
met
money.
somebody last week. Yeah, that is she's a medical writer.
Oh, cool.
I'm not exactly totally sure what all she does, but it's obviously medical and writing. So,
Yep.
but yeah, so that is cool. I like that.
Mhm.
I did not know that about backlinking, that, you can be strategic. And I think that's the thing about SEO is learning how to be strategic with it. When you say,
Yes, definitely. And then also Google Trends is another website I go to. And if you go there, you can look for your keywords and see what these keywords are ranked. And so this is your market research phase, when you're trying to find certain words that will like translate well, or what people will find, or what people are looking for based off of the number count. So when you go to Google Trends, it shows you how many times a person has hit, American football, right? Those are two words, but it's a keyword phrase because it's made up of two words. And so you can see usually right before Super Bowl, there's a big uptick, right, in American football. But then you see like right after Super Bowl, what is it? We're in March already. It's ranked really low because nobody's searching for American football.
Right.
So, yeah.
And it's March Madness. We're in the basketball.
Yes, now we got basketball. So if you type in American basketball, you'll see a huge uptick. I promise you.
Yeah, that is so good to know. So how can they learn to write good copy and get the good SEO in there? What are some things that they can do or places they can find help? Do you know?
Yeah. So like I mentioned before, Moz was a good place if you want to learn. MOZ.
MOZ. Is it Moz.com?
Yep, that's it. Super simple. That's the place I go if I want to learn about SEO. Yep.
The notes in the comments here. And if you have a question about copywriting, for those that are here, I forgot to acknowledge people watching. I'm sorry about that. I got so excited. But if you have a question for Don or a question about copywriting or writing, let us know and we'd be happy to answer while we're here live. But I'm going to put this Moz.com. It's wanting to autocorrect to mom. We don't.
Oh, mom.
Oh, mom.
It's the mom tip.
Yes, but if you're here and you have something that you can, question you want to ask, please feel free. But Moz.com. So what are we going to find out at Moz.com? Refresh my memory.
Learn how to do SEO the right way.
Okay.
And to do it for your blog or your business or your company or whatever, if you haven't hired that out yet.
Yeah.
So Moz.com is where you would find tons of SEO like type of articles just written in a really easy to understand form, and it's not scary, right? Because those copywriters took time to write that article for you, so they know SEO.
Well, that's the thing. Learn from people who know how to do this. That's the thing. I mean, you don't have to be the Lone Ranger and try to figure all this out. And that's part of why I'm the Right Coach and why I like to share the tips, is because I love to help people learn things, and you don't have to figure out all of this stuff on your own. And I bring people like Dawn in to help you. So Moz isn't a good place. Is there anything else you can think of that would help them?
Practicing journaling. I would highly recommend spending some time every morning, right when you get up, maybe like a morning routine or a morning ritual, and spending like 5 to 10 minutes just journaling, just about you. About it could be a personal journal, doesn't have to be public, but it could just be something to help you get your mind going for the day. Journaling every day, being consistent. Consistency is really key with anything that you're trying to learn and become better at.
Definitely.
And so, yeah, definitely writing every day. And then also, reaching out to creative agencies like I did last year to see if they're looking for an intern copywriter. Usually those jobs are like amazing opportunities for you to get your foot in the door for some paid work later on, which happened to me. And so it's really important. And everyone needs good copywriters. That's probably the number one creative profession that I saw when I was searching on LinkedIn and Facebook and even like Instagram. People were looking for copywriters, especially agencies were looking for copywriters because they just drop like flies. It's because everyone thinks they can copyright. Once they get in there and they try to give it a shot, then they just notice, it's like, oh wow, that's a lot of hard work. You guys actually write like a lot. I'm like, yeah,
Well, and this, the same thing goes when you're learning the craft of writing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a skill that you have to learn.
Yes.
And the other thing that I would add to what you're saying here is, look at other people that do it well. Look at those Facebook ads. What are attracting you to them? I mean, some people may not like them at all, but you still see them. And look through what's good copy. And another thing that I love is if I get a really good email, I save it into Evernote and I have email examples. It's tagged. And that's another part of copy is getting people to read your emails. It's kind of a big deal. And so you want to make sure that you're doing that. So I love that.
Yeah.
Well,
I'd love to interject one more thing about emails, because I thought this was a great point. When I first started my internship as a copywriter with this agency, one of my first jobs was to create a sales letter that was going to be emailed out. And so, I worked so hard at that sales letter. I spent all day, and I think I spent like almost 2 days just perfecting it, rewriting, proofing over and over again. And I sent it to the guy, and he was going to use it for one of his campaigns, like an advertising campaign for his business. And so he read it and he couldn't believe it. Was like, wow, this is really good work done. I was like, how long did you spend on this? And I was like, maybe a day or two. No biggie. And it was only like less than 1,000 words, right? Like it ended up being 800, but it was just like the amount of time and effort that it took, but it was just so enjoyable. So I just want to throw that out there. As a copywriter, you'd be doing like from sales letters to just basic emails to Facebook or Instagram advertisings to like the sky's the limit when you do your copywriting, depending on the agency you work with. But I just wanted to quickly interject.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's a part of, a lot of writers aren't sure how to grow their email list. And that is a talent to learn how to write emails that are interesting. You don't want to just go, well, I'm working on my book this week and it went good.
That sounds exciting. Good stuff.
Wow, delete. And who's really good at this kind of stuff? Tom Fry is in our group, in the Write My Book group on Facebook. And he has the most interesting stories that make you, like literally laugh out loud. and his writing's interesting. And that's where, you've got to figure out your style and flair. You don't try to be Tom or anybody else. Try to be you, but make it interesting. And there is a gift to that. And it does take time and practice to work on that. I mean, even I still struggle with that. And I've been doing this for 10 years, but I've been working at it more the past 5. So, with the Write Coach business, excuse me. And so, it is something that you just have to work at and look around, pay attention to what interests you at people write. Is it because it's funny? Do they have an interesting fact? What is it that draws you in, and find out what that is? So what words of advice or encouragement do you have for writers or someone who may be struggling to understand how to do this and the importance of it?
Yeah, I would say do what you love. Do what you're passionate about. If you really want to be a copywriter, then just go on Google how to be a copywriter. It's that easy. And it's like work at it and be consistent every day. And so I think finding what you love, and then maybe finding a mentor or someone who's done it before you, and just like email them and then see if you can schedule a Zoom session with them or a Facebook chat, or it's just something as easy as trying to reach out and getting to know people. And I think that's like, especially as introverts, we're really scared about reaching out to people and asking for help. And so learning the art of asking for help, because we don't know all those scary answers in life, and that's okay, because in the end it's like you have to do what's best for you, and you have to have that self-care, right? And that goes back to the magazine that I'm co-editing with a few other writers, and we're actually getting ready to release it to the public. It's like the whole brand new website. We had one before, we took it down because we want to do like a membership-based model, basically a subscription-based model like Medium. And so it's just taken a little longer to set that up.
I completely understand. Especially when you go to do anything like that, it always takes twice as long
Yes.
as you think it will take.
Yeah, it was supposed to be finished last month, and now and I built up a subscription list, like a newsletter list with the default. And so it was, I have like over 100 people signed up, and I keep telling them, it's like, well, it'll be ready next month. Well, psych. I mean, the next month after. I promise this time I have some help, and it's just like life gets in the way, of these projects you want to do and you don't make a whole lot of money initially with.
Yeah. Yes. And there's just always something going on.
Right.
Well, I love this. I thank you so much. And I love this. Do what you love, is what you said. Be consistent, find a mentor. This works no matter what kind of writing you're trying to do.
Totally.
It's the same advice works. And then getting help from people. And, even as me as an extrovert, sometimes, I have the pride and the ego get in the way, like, I should ask for help. But I found when I do ask for help, most people love to give it, because it's something that they love and they're passionate about, and they're sure they want to share it with you. Some people might snub you, and if they do, well, then that's their problem, their loss, keep going. Hey, Sue, glad that helped you. If anybody has a question before we go, please post it, or even afterwards, you can post it here or on YouTube. We're live at both places. And Don and I will get to you and answer the question if you have a question, if you're watching the replay. And for those that are here, if you got a question, ask fast before we pop off. But I love what you're doing, Don. I think it's a great idea for writers to learn this. And I appreciate you sharing your expertise with us. I know that it can be a tough journey with writing, and that's why I love making connections too. And so I'm glad that we were able to connect. It was on LinkedIn where we first connected.
Yeah, like a few months ago, if I remember.
Yeah.
I think it was Christmas, maybe around Christmas time.
Somewhere around there. So, you just never know what's going to happen out of that. And I love connecting with people because it always brings, a new perspective. Or it's somebody that I can bring here and share with my audience and let them know, hey, this is something that you can do. So I appreciate it, Don, and I thank you, and I hope you have a great day.
Awesome. You too. Take care. Bye.
You too.